Nate, it seems like you guys have been rotating at least 4 guys in the first team. How are you trying to evaluate who will handle the majority of the reps, or do you genuinely view this as a lot of split opportunities because the talent level is equal?
Yeah, I think when the last time I talked to you guys, we wanted to find out what jobs certain people could do. Obviously, particularly for the tight ends, this offensive system is a pretty big departure from what they've known. So as you come in and you try and evaluate the tape and what skill sets guys have, you necessarily always get the full picture. So rotating those guys, has served multiple purposes. Number one, we want to try and find some continuity with the quarterbacks and the other people who have more solidified roles, and we also want to find out and put people in situations in which maybe they're not quite as comfortable, but we certainly haven't developed any kind of depth chart, and definitely think we'll see a number of faces in there. Some more than others, but we still got a big summer phase and a big training camp phase to make those decisions.
Talk about it being such a departure. And one of the things, especially with the tight ends, is reading the defense and kind of having some freedom with the route running. How do you try to teach that? Is that more in the film room? Is it on the field? Like, where do you go about that?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both, because really ultimately that's what we are as coaches, as teachers, and everybody learns very differently. And some people have to do, some people have to see, some people have to talk, and we it's my job to make sure that we hit those different modes of learning for each of the players. So I think we've through the schedule that we've had this spring, that we've done a nice job of trying to touch all of those. And I think I was telling the guys this morning in our meeting, like, I can't wait to show them the first time we got on the field and how they looked as opposed to how they look now, right? Some of the routes in our route tree and some of the different schemes that we have that might be a little bit new. So it's been a fun journey with those guys for sure.
Jack Pugh is somebody who hasn't gotten a lot of game opportunities in his career yet, but it seems like he's taken a pretty big step. What can he give you at that position?
He's a really big, really athletic, physical guy. I think when you talk about just the combination of size, athleticism, and physicality, he gives it, as well as anybody on our team. He gives tremendous effort, and I think he's been outstanding in, his willingness and desire to learn this offense and to be a factor on Saturday afternoons this fall. So I've been really pleased with Jack and very happy for the progress he's made.
Obviously, you guys have also been missing some bodies, and I think it was clear that Cundiff was going to be a long road back. Do you have any idea where he is on his comeback and whether he's going to be ready for camp?
Yeah, I think the plan is that he will be full go for fall training camp. We're hoping that he has a really productive summer as well. I think Clay's done a great job of, kind of balancing, finding the time for his rehabilitation physically, but also staying present with the guys. Because, when you lose somebody like him who's played a lot of meaningful football, to me, that's almost as important as just the physical rehabilitation as him being around our guys, learning the system. And he's been great at that. So he's been doing some individual work with us a little bit, very minimal, low impact stuff, but really like what we see so far.
Riley Nowakowski is a guy that's been getting a lot of reps. What have you seen from him, and especially with this transition to the tight end?
He's been awesome. When you just think of a football player, that's Riley Nowakowski. He gives tremendous effort. He knows football, I would argue, as well as anybody on our team. He sees the game, he understands it. He's incredibly intelligent, and he's incredibly hardworking. So proud would be an understatement. He's had an awesome spring. So I'm very excited for him.
You talked about the departures from the group with their asked of years past to now. What are just some of those key differences that you're seeing, and just how has the group performed or grown?
Sure. Well, I think with any offensive system, right, tight end is going to be challenging just because you're involved in a lot of phases, right? You're involved in the passing game, the run game, the protection game. So you got to learn a lot. On top of that, there's just new language, and then beyond that, in their older system, somebody was coming to a huddle and telling them to play every time, and then you got to the line of scrimmage. If it was a run play, the center would tell them basically ultimately what to do and where to go. And there's a little bit more fending for yourself out there in this offense because we're playing with a little bit more tempo. Our play calling structure is a little bit different. So there is a learning curve there. But like I said, all these guys, are incredibly resilient, and they're incredibly hardworking. So they've done a really nice job. I thought day over day, we never took steps backwards. Some of the steps forward maybe weren't as big as I was hoping for, but they have always moved forward, and that's something I've been really pleased with.
Luke is often described as intense and energetic. He's obviously brought that here since you've had experience coaching with him before. Any specific examples that you've seen from him? Maybe things he's brought here since you guys got to Madison, which demonstrated that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think it's just the urgency with which we're challenging our players to operate with on their day-to-day lives. You know what I mean? So, I know you guys have heard about the ISO cam. We do finishers at the end of practice that are just, intended to be like, hey, you've gone through a 2-hour, 15-minute practice. Give us 3 minutes of intensity and focus and execution, right? So there are small things that he does that I think are really impressive. But to me, the most impressive thing about him is the consistency with which he models that behavior. He's an intense person all the time. So I think that when you see that and you're around that all the time, that permeates, through the staff and then ultimately to the players in the organization.
You mentioned with Q just the way that he stepped up for you, but do you think he kind of embraced the clean slate just because early in his career he battled some injuries and maybe wasn't there quite yet as a blocker, but do you think he just kind of embraced the new opportunity with the new staff?
I hope so. I hope that's where his thought process is. We have all of our exit interviews with the players coming up in the coming days, so I'll have a better answer for you at some other point, but he's, really, I can't compliment him enough. I don't know what his circumstance was coming in here. I really didn't care that much. But since I've been here, he's been nothing but hardworking, diligent, and really a productive player so far.
What about Angel Toombs? Obviously, walk-on. What's caught your eye about him so far?
He's a big kid. He has a lot of physical tools. But just like anybody coming into college football, there's a huge learning curve. Some of the detail that we ask you to operate with. When it comes to identifying defense, and operating within our system relative to what they're giving us, takes some time. But Angel, as much as anybody from where he started and where he came in, more mentally than anything else to where he is now, has been really impressive. So he's a great kid and works extremely hard, and I'm excited about his future. So
Hayden Lucci's primarily been as a blocker here. He's got some pass catching ability, caught one in the bowl game, caught one in the How do you view how he can be utilized in this offense? What is his skill set that he can bring?
Yeah, he's a tremendous blocker. He'll run up and hit you, and he's very good at it, and obviously comes from good lineage on that front. But what has impressed me the most is he got dinged with a hamstring injury kind of right through the middle of spring practice, was out 5 or 6 practices, came back, but his route running has gotten exponentially better, right? I think in a way, I don't want to say limitations, but he knows what type of player he is, and he knows how to use that in the passing game to get himself open. He's not trying to play, beyond what his skill set is. He's played a lot of meaningful football. He knows what it takes when you're out there. So how are we going to use him? I'm not entirely sure how that's going to, reveal itself, but he's somebody we're going to be counting on this fall for sure.
Jack Eschenbach's had a career that's kind of been up and down with the injuries and different things like that, but he's been out here pretty much all spring. What do you think he's done to help him get to that point where he's been able to stack days like that?
Jack Eschenbach, more than maybe any in my room, might be the most conscientious learner. Like anything you tell him, he is going to do to the letter that you tell him to do it. Now, sometimes we want him to play a little less analytically, right? He's a very bright guy, and he can sometimes overthink things. But I think more than anything, like his determination to learn exactly what you want him to do has allowed him, to play beyond his God-given ability, which is still pretty great, So I've been really pleased with him. He gives you a little bit different athletic ability, particularly when we put these guys out on the perimeter. So he's had a really nice spring as well.
I know that they've been out, but guys like Cam Large, Cole Dakovich, just how much have you been able to, one, get to know them, even though they're not in the field, but two, just is there any instance of like what you feel they could bring to this offense whenever they are cleared to be able to play?
You know, I haven't gotten to see much movement skills from them. Obviously, seen some of the tape that has been available to us. You know, it's not exactly, you know, like I said, the skill sets are a little bit different, so it's hard to project where they may be. But we've had a lot of opportunity to get to meet with those guys, and they're awesome. I mean, they're great guys. You know, you worry sometimes with long-term injuries. Again, kind of mentioned it with Clay, like that they might get distant from the room, but they haven't. They've really taken their own learning very seriously, which is it's challenging when you're not doing it. So I've been really pleased with those guys. Very happy to get them back at some point this summer. Not entirely sure what the timeline is on that. But looking forward to getting them in the mix and seeing if they can elevate the standard of the room a little bit further this summer.
Longo's not here is
Yeah.
Can you share what you've learned about him or what you think he can provide when he comes here this summer?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't gotten the chance to visit with him in person, but he's a big athletic kid. You see videos of him on social media from time to time lifting an unbelievable amount of weight. And he's been a lot of fun just to get to know over the phone. So I'm eager to get him here, but I can't really comment more than just speculation. But we're very excited about him. I know we were excited when we got him committed and signed here. So can't wait to see what he does when he gets here this summer.
Coach Longo historically has liked having kind of a variety of body types and athleticism at that tight end spot.
Sure.
Do you feel like you've got that in your room right now, or do you maybe want to add some different?
No, I absolutely do. I mean, I think we have a really interesting mix of body type, an interesting mix of athletic ability, a great mix of blocking ability, and that kind of goes back to your question of how are we going to use these guys. We're not entirely sure yet. We still got some developing to do over the summer and fall training camp, but I think we got a lot of guys who do a lot of things well. Hopefully we can get some more guys that can do all of the jobs extremely well at a really high level. And that's what the development piece is, that's what the recruiting piece is, and just move on from there.
When you talk about guys that have been out with injuries and then now getting into a new offensive system, how have you seen your entire room really embrace that and embrace the new opportunity kind of on the horizon?
I think, I've been as appreciative and grateful more than anything for, not just the injured guys and their attitude and their approach, but really the entirety of the room. Really, if I can really only speak to the tight end room, but everybody in this organization right now is pretty aligned towards one common goal of winning football games, right? And this is the offensive system we're in, and the tight ends have been, like I said, just incredible. In their determination to learn everything as quickly as they can, to not make the same mistakes over and over. Obviously, we do, but that comes with the territory. So I've been, like I said, very grateful for their willingness and their work ethic and the habits that they've kind of created through the winter lifting cycle into spring practice.
For you personally, just with the way your start date worked out, you weren't able to be on the road when you got here. Are you excited for that element in the next couple
I can't
months
wait.
Here?
I can't wait. So I think we're building a lot of momentum from a recruiting standpoint within this program, and we're excited to get out there and kind of make sure that everybody out there and the best players in the country know that Wisconsin's going to be a place for them.
You studied much, like historically, Wisconsin and the recruiting trail, especially in June, has been very, very successful. We have kids from out of state here. Is that something that you kind of spend much time focusing on or looking forward to?
I can't say I've studied it much. I know with the little teaser weather we got 2 weeks ago that it's going to be awfully nice here in the summer, and it'll be a great place to visit. But we're really excited about the guys we got coming here in June, and just keep chipping away at putting together a really nice class.
Favorite meal on the road while recruiting?
Favorite meal? Oh God, I don't even know. It depends on where I'm at. So I've got some newer territories, so I'm excited to start building a list again, though. All right, thanks guys. Appreciate you.